Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 6. And today we are going to talk about the burning question: do I need a PMP to be a project manager? And here with me, as always, is the one, the only Nada Buhendi. Nada, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Kayla. I'm so excited to talk about this. So I know that, in any industry, people worry about getting into a new role if they don't have certifications.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that within the project management space, there can be a huge emphasis on getting the PMP.
Oh, yeah.
People
Mm-hmm.
hear that all the time. You need to have a PMP in order to be a great project manager or even get into the role.
Yep. It's often seen as a barrier to entry.
Yeah. Do you see that in your clients, like this fear of not, having the PMP and what would happen if they got the role without it? What are some of the things that they tell you when they're facing that dilemma basically?
Yeah, what I hear the most often is that is what's keeping me from getting seen. That's what's
Mm.
screening me out from everybody else. I have to get that PMP and then I will start getting interviews.
Mm. So it sounds like people worry that they're not going to be credible enough to get the
Oh,
role.
for sure. Yeah, they'll tell me, well, Kayla, the job says PMP required, so I can't apply, or, I need it to get my foot in the door. I feel like it
Mm.
validates what I'm doing, like this little piece of paper that I can wave in people's face to say, look, I know what I'm doing. Those are the types of things that I hear.
So, based on your experience of helping so many people land a project manager role and having gone through the path itself,
Mhm.
would you say that's a myth that you need the PMP to get your first project manager role? Or is it true that you need to have it in order to be considered?
I love this one because it is a complete myth. I think I think what is really interesting about this is some of the best project managers I have ever met don't have their PMPs. And I think what happens is, first of all, a lot of people don't see that. A lot of people who are transitioning into project management don't necessarily see all those PMs who are amazing but don't have their PMPs. And I think they also, it's also kind of a little bit of a place for your brain to rest, to think, all right, I don't need that, or I need this before I can move forward. And then you start studying and you start studying, and it feels really good. Like your brain feels really good about it because you're taking action, right? You aren't
Mm.
getting, you're applying and nothing's happening and you don't have control over that. You think so. The thing you do have control over is I'll get the PMP. I'll study real hard. I'll do all the right things. I'll take all the right courses and I'll get that PMP. And that is going to get me the results. But
Mm.
ironically, it does not, Nada, because companies don't hire credentials, they hire competence.
Mm. Mm. I know that we talked in the previous episode in terms of what is it that you need to do and you need to have in order to land your first project manager role or
Mhm.
any project manager role, whether it's your first or second, right?
Mhm.
I just want to do a quick review in case people haven't heard, the last episodes, although I do encourage you to go and watch them so that you can get, the full picture. But can we just summarize again, like what is it that people need to have in order to get that first role? Because it sounds like the PMP is not 100% necessary. So
Yes.
what do they need to do in order to land it?
People need to be able to articulate their experience through the lens of project management. And that does not necessarily mean sprinkling in project management jargon all over the place. That means I helped a team execute this thing, and these were the results. And I behaved in a project manager capacity. Whether or not you had the title, it's all about being able to explain your experience as if you've already been a project manager, because you probably have been.
Exactly. That makes complete sense. So let's take all of the myths and just tackle them one on one, because
Mhm.
it's all a lot of like confusion, and I think that's what creates the fear for people to actually pursue the path of project management. When people get conflicting advice, I mean, it's normal
Mhm.
to get confused and then you don't know who to believe,
Yeah.
right? So let's first maybe tackle the whole thing about what is it that you need to do in order to even qualify for the PMP certification.
Yes. So to qualify to even apply for the PMP certification, you have to demonstrate 3 years of
Mhm.
project management experience.
Okay.
Very interesting, because people will come to me and they have their PMP and they'll
Mhm.
say, "Oh, I don't think I have project management experience," which
Mm.
I find
That's so weird.
it is so weird. It's like a cognitive dissonance thing. And a lot of times
Mm.
it's because they haven't had the title, or maybe a project didn't finish, or they were undervalued, like their work was undervalued where they were previously. I see that one a lot. And the title one is a problem a lot too. But you need to be able to demonstrate that competency, which means you already have the experience if you have your PMP.
Yeah.
Ironically, if you don't already have your PMP, well, you need to have 3 years of project management experience. And if you don't, then you can't get the PMP. So,
Mm.
either way, the PMP is not the barrier to entry for project management, for being a project manager. It's actually a result of already having been a project manager. So that is not what is holding people back from
Mm.
either pivoting into or getting their next project management role.
Hmm. So what I'm hearing is if you have never been a project manager, or if you haven't had any management experience, meaning I'm going to make that even more explicit because people confuse not having the title with, not having experience. You can still
Mhm.
have experience even without the title. What we're talking about is you not having any project experience, even unofficially. If you
100%.
don't have that, then you don't qualify for the PMP. You need
Yes.
to have at least 3 years of that, regardless of whether you've had the title or not.
Yes.
So
And
it's
this is why I say, if you want to work with me, you need to have had 5 or more years of professional experience, because
mm,
that in and of itself is likely enough for us to reflect on your experience and pick out where you've already been doing project management work.
mm,
I would say the people who truly don't have those 3 years of project management experience that qualify for the PMP are new grads.
mm. Because going back again to some of the conversations we've had, if you've had 5 years of experience, then you've likely worked on a project.
Oh, for
Now,
sure.
you may not recognize that what you worked on is a project because maybe you're having difficulty with knowing what the definition of a project is.
Mhm.
But it sounds like if you've had any type of professional experience, you
Yes.
likely were working on a project. And
Absolutely, yes.
if that happened over a duration of 3 years, then you qualify for the PMP certification
Mhm.
and you can land a project manager role.
Yes, because you already have the experience. And I have seen people not come to me with their PMP and they're having trouble landing a
Mm,
role as a project manager. And I have had people come to me and they get a senior PM role without a PMP. So it is
mm.
absolutely not the PMP. It's all in how you are framing your experience.
Okay. So walk us through an actual example of a client who came to you, did not have the PMP
Mhm.
and landed a project manager role. What are the steps that you took with this client to get them there?
Yes. So Frank came to me. Frank had a background of being a band manager. It was a very, very unique background. He was literally helping bands tour around the country. And it was so interesting because he did not see his experience as project management experience. And I was like, Frank, every tour is a project. Like, you're dealing with so many different stakeholders, so many moving parts, so many deadlines, so many risks, and you're making it all happen. That is project management. So that was kind of step one, is reframing for him what it means to be a project manager so that he could see it. Because before then, he had an inkling of, oh, I was told, someone said, look at project management. I think that would be good for you. And he just didn't see it for a while.
Mm,
He kept telling me, I don't know, Kayla, is this going to work? Like, I don't know if it's going to work because I haven't really been doing it. So helping him see that he ran these initiatives that were time bound and resulted in something unique. Every tour is unique. Absolutely. Different location, different risks that are going to happen. Even if it's the same artist, it's different. So that was the first thing that we did. And when he started to see it and started to accept it, which is, it's also interesting because sometimes people will resist accepting it.
yeah.
Once he accepted it, I helped him reframe his experience as such because he had to integrate it into his mind first. So he integrated it, and then that's when we could actually talk about his experience in terms of projects and in terms of project management. So we were speaking the same language and then just reframing what he had actually done. We're not lying, we're reframing.
Mhm.
And once we did that and layered a few things strategically on top of it, he had so many job interviews. We had to start talking about which ones he was going to turn down. And he ended up landing a senior project management role, no PMP.
Wow, that's a great story.
Mm.
So, what do you feel are some of the behaviors that people need to demonstrate or personality traits in order for them to realize that they are meant to be a project manager?
One of the biggest ones is being able to manage chaos. First
Mm,
of all, if you are normally the one in the middle of the storm, or if you kind of serve as an air traffic controller pointing people in different ways, that is a sign that you're a project manager. Um, Being really good with communicating with people, you just kind of naturally work with other people in your company or outside of the company with other organizations to get things done. You generally tend to not work in a silo. You
mm,
end up kind of talking with other people. And when you run a project, maybe it's one or two other people. It doesn't have to be 10. But that's another really big trait of a project manager. And being able to issue spot, kind of looking ahead and saying, you know what,
mm.
this thing could go wrong. Maybe we should think about that.
Yeah, so
And
your ability to kind of predict the risk and be
yes.
proactive versus reactive.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And do you think, I mean, knowing you and even looking at yourself, do you find that people who are project managers tend to be very structured and like to map everything out?
Absolutely. It's almost like you know me, Nada. Yes. I am a very, very structured I wouldn't even say logical. I like logic a lot, but I don't think you need to
Mhm.
be logical to be a project manager. It's just very driven on
Mm,
structure and protocol and
yeah,
procedure. And yes, liking things to be kind of mapped out fully
yeah.
end to end. I mean, that's not everybody because some people love agile, but I would
Mhm.
say people who tend to be a little more structured tend to be project managers. If you open your kitchen cabinet and things are organized by like color and all of your stuff is very nicely labeled, you might be a project manager.
Yeah, you know what? It reminds me of Friends. I'm
Oh,
I'm I'm
Monica.
thinking Monica.
Yeah. Oh, she'd be a great project manager. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, I hear the structure, and even if I contrast it with myself, because I come from the product world,
Mhm.
project managers also complement product managers in a way, because
Mhm.
product managers are more on the creative, a little bit on the impulsive, side of
Yeah.
things, throwing ideas all over the place. And then the project managers are really good at taking that vision and making sure
Mm.
that the teams, execute it very well,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. You
They're very
execute.
good at translating what leadership wants
Oh,
and
yeah.
breaking it down into a plan so that everyone can, stick to it and make sure that everything is delivered on time.
Yeah. So
So,
everyone can understand it.
yeah, so if
Mhm.
you're listening to this episode right now and you can recognize yourself in this, and you've always been complimented, around how amazing you are at, keeping like a well-oiled machine and making sure from an operational perspective that your teams execute, and you're the glue and the traffic controller,
Mhm.
then you really have a gift here, and you
Yeah.
need to utilize it instead of running away from it and worrying about, certifications, or letting someone else on the outside, give you reasons not to take action, right?
For sure. Yeah, 100%. And, you're making me think of a couple things. First of all, just an aside, product and project management are not the same thing. And I feel like I need to
Exactly.
say this for this
I can say
audience.
this too as someone who's been a
Yeah.
product leader for a very long time.
Yes, I hear it all the time. Like, oh, I want to be a project manager or a product manager. I'm like, oh, those are not the
It's
same
not the
thing.
same thing.
And you need to pick one.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I mean, we'll get into that. We've gotten into that in other
We'll
episodes,
get
and we'll
into
get
that.
into it in
And
other
you
episodes.
gotta be clear about what you want, right?
Yeah.
And not let, all kinds of excuses come in the way from you pursuing what your gift is.
Yeah.
So I want to go back into the credibility thing, because this is
Mhm.
a real thing and people say this all the time, and we do see it in job postings. Job postings that say that you need to have a PMP. So when people see that, of course, they're going to start feeling like they need to get the certification before getting the job. So
Mhm.
is there a workaround? Like, how do you guide your clients in
Yeah.
overcoming this?
Yeah. Oof, there's a couple things I want to talk about. I feel like we can't talk about this without talking about the AI gremlins. The ATS AI gremlins that
Yeah,
are scanning your resume and automatically kicking it out if the word PMP is not on there.
right.
Um, that is not happening, at least not yet. We
Mhm.
haven't gotten there. What could be happening is if you have to fill out like a questionnaire ahead of
Mhm.
time and it says, "Do you have your PMP?"
Yeah.
and you put no, that could be knocking you out. But for people who say, "Oh, I keep submitting my resume and I keep getting no's because I don't have my PMP,"
Mhm.
unless you had to answer that question separately,
Yeah.
that is not necessarily what is happening. So I just wanted to point that out.
Mhm.
So apply anyway, first of all. But to go back to my iron triangle concept of credentials, experience, and network, the experience always has to be there. And it needs to be translated through the lens of a project manager. Now, the other piece, the networking, strategic networking, once you have your story down and you can explain your value add and why you're a great project manager, that is something that really, really moves the needle because you can get people, if you get referrals, that's your golden ticket. And it's not going to matter so much whether or not you have the PMP.
Yeah. What you're saying makes complete sense to me, because I mean, it sounds like there will be companies that have a hard requirement.
Mhm.
Maybe the hiring manager just doesn't know what they're looking for, right?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
or, you know, like no one goes into school and you're not there isn't let's say a school for being a good hiring manager and knowing what to look for in a person.
Yeah. Yes,
I'm
a
just
lot of
going to
hiring
be
managers don't know
blunt
what the
about this.
PMP means even. There's like, or maybe HR says, you have to put this in the job description.
Yeah.
It's an HR checkbox sort of thing.
Yeah, and let's be clear, it's probably not on every single job posting, right?
Mm-mm.
But I feel
No,
like
some of
when
them
people
say
see that,
preferred,
yeah, and I
or maybe
feel
not
like,
at all.
sorry?
Maybe not at all.
Yeah, but you know how we are as human beings,
Yeah.
right? The moment
Yeah.
we see that some job postings are asking for something that we don't have, we automatically start blaming ourselves or saying or overgeneralizing,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it
I
sounds,
think it's partly a reflex to avoid rejection. So if
oh,
you think you're going to get rejected anyway, I think there's a little mechanism in your brain that says, well, let's just protect ourselves from that. Like we're pretty
oh,
sure
wow.
we're going to get rejected. So let's not. And then, you're missing 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yeah, that's kind of sad to
I
let,
know.
10 or 15%, the 10 or 15% keep you from, like aiming for what you want.
Yeah. Yeah. The 10
Okay.
or 15% that you're quote unquote missing, right?
Hmm.
From the job description.
Yeah, and I want to go back to what you just said, right?
Mm,
These job postings, they're put together very quickly. Sometimes they're copied and pasted from other job postings because
yeah.
hiring managers don't always have the time to put these, together, and HR may not have the context. So they may look at a similar template and just steal it and,
Yeah.
put it together. And it's not
Yeah.
always reflective of what a company is going to make their decision based out of. It almost reminds me like, when you apply to college and they have all of these minimum
Mm,
requirements, and
yeah.
a lot of people, like I was able to get into university below the GPA requirement.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's because I have other things that I brought to the
Mm-hmm.
table,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Oh,
that
that's a
made them
really good
overlook
analogy.
because they look at the thing holistically
Yeah.
versus fixate on the little things.
Yes. Yes. And I can tell you, job descriptions are wish lists. Someone's sitting there and they're thinking, if I could have the absolute perfect person to
Yeah.
fill this role, here is what I want.
Yeah.
And that person may or may not exist, and they may or may not be looking for a job like that. And they may or may not apply. Like, not all the stars are going to line up. So you don't have to fit every single checkbox on that wish list.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Um, the other thing that I wanted to say is your point about networking, which is extremely important. And again,
Mm,
if you haven't listened to the episode around networking, I encourage you to listen to it. I think it might have been the previous episode. So please, listen to it because you're going to get a lot of golden nuggets. Kayla is an amazing networker, and she really teaches her clients how to network effectively, which opens doors, not
mm,
just, for landing a job, but your entire career.
yes.
But I'm also hearing that you have a better chance of building that credibility and creating a better perception of what you bring to the table beyond certifications and beyond what's on paper
Hmm.
if you are networking, it sounds like.
Oh, 100%. Yes. I talk about referrals like a golden ticket to Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. Now, it doesn't mean
Mm,
you're going to win the chocolate factory, but it does mean you're probably going to get in.
yeah, yeah. Okay. So, I want to get in to another example of a client that you worked with who had a PMP and still struggled.
Yes. So, uh, Ryan, Ryan came to me. He had a military background. He was ex-Marines and then had landed in the parking operations space, and against his will his position was turning into a sales role, and he was just not excited about that. He had his PMP, so he could demonstrate the 3 years of project management experience theoretically. And he had that piece of paper to wave in someone's face and say, no, look, I know what I'm talking about. And
Mm.
he was having trouble getting interviews. And I think that says something very, very specific about the PMP, that if that's really what they were measuring it off of, people would not be having so many issues getting interviews. So what Ryan and I did is we took a look at his PMP application to figure out, what did you call a project on there? Okay, great. Now let's take that and let's map it to the types of project management roles that you are going after. So we're using the right language and we're using it strategically. And let's layer on strategic networking on top of that. And Ryan landed as a PM3 in IT, which is where he wanted to be. And for those of you who may not know, the 3 behind PM, I mean, it differs from organization to organization, but that is not a junior PM. That is mid to senior level.
I can't even imagine what he was going through,
Mm-hmm.
having such a high level of certification and investing so much and yet still not getting the role. Like I see this all the time.
Yeah.
People put all of their hopes into the certification as if it is a magic wand that's going to fix everything.
Yeah.
And then they study hard for it, they finally pass, and they're still where they're at.
Yeah.
That's so
It's like
discouraging.
you've wasted 3 to 6 months. I mean, if you sit down and study for the PMP very, very hard, it's anywhere from 3 to 6 months. I think it took me 6 to 9 because I was incredibly busy and just life happened. I think I lost my notes somewhere in the middle and had to start over. But it takes a long time. So if you are holding yourself back because you don't have your PMP, and then you get it, and after listening to this episode that is not going to open the doors for you, you've just wasted 3 to 6 months of just sitting there where you could have been networking, you could have been applying, you could have been working on reframing your experience, and instead you're back to square one.
Yeah, and I can't even imagine the impact on your confidence. You're going to start questioning whether you are good enough. All of these ideas, come to your mind.
Mm-hmm.
I remember in one year, it was so ridiculous. I kept telling myself, because of what I kept hearing and kept following what everyone else was doing, and I invested more than $30,000 in one year on certifications.
Mm-hmm.
I decided to just collect a whole bunch. Oh, I got the certification. I still didn't get the job. Let me try getting another one. Let me try getting another one. And the more I kept collecting certifications and the more I kept getting rejected, the more I felt frustrated, and I started thinking that the problem was me.
Yeah.
Instead of the way that I was, articulating my experience.
Yeah, it sounds like you started taking it very personally.
I took it very personally.
Yeah.
And thank goodness at some point I ended up hiring a coach who helped me articulate my experience better. And I was just like, why didn't I do this before? Like I wasted so much money, so much time when I could have just had someone who's in the same role that I wanted to get. And it would have just said to me like, hey, Nada, like you need to just, target the right roles, and you're not able to, you've done more than what you have on paper. Let me help you, and let me help you network. And if I had that structure and that plan and that feedback on my implementation of the plan, I would not have gone through all of this pain for an entire year, Kayla.
Yeah, and $30,000 to boot. Oh my gosh. I mean, I am a senior project manager, right? I eat, sleep, and breathe project management every single day. So I know exactly what hiring managers are looking for in project managers, and I can help translate that experience very well. And, as you're sitting there talking about tens of thousands of dollars on certifications, I keep seeing more and more masters in project management. And I have had just as many people come to me with a master's in project management, and they can't land a project management role. And if you want to talk about expensive and time consuming,
My God,
that is the very definition.
that's insane.
Yeah.
So now I know we talked about how like the PMP is not necessarily your ticket into landing a role.
Hmm.
On the flip side, why get it? Why is it valuable for people to have the PMP?
Yeah.
It sounds like maybe it's not necessarily, the golden ticket to landing a job, but it
Hmm.
sounds like maybe it is helpful while you're in the job. Am I getting that right? Or why do you think it's so valuable to get it?
So particularly when I am working with individuals who have never had the formal title before, I do encourage them to at least apply and study for it. And here's
Mm,
why. When you apply, you have to have 3 years of project management experience.
mm,
And when you apply and it gets approved, some sort of light switches where
mm,
all of a sudden people think, oh my gosh, this is real. I have been doing project management. It has been validated by PMI. And that alone, having someone external, the gold
mm.
standard of project management, kind of gold stamp it, really does something for people. And learning kind of some of the tools, the techniques, the jargon, I also find that is really helpful for people who haven't formally had the title before. So while I don't think it opens doors, it is part of my strategy to help people gain confidence in their own experience.
Yeah, and it sounds like you're not like, asking people to do one before the other.
Yes.
It sounds like it's a parallel approach where they're prepping to land the role and
Hmm.
they're also increasing their chances from a credibility perspective
Yeah.
to make it like very obvious that they have more than 3 years of that experience by
Yep.
getting that PMP certification.
Yeah. And it's really interesting too, because I will have people ask me, hey, Kayla, do you think I should get my PMP first? Or do you think I should work with you to reframe my experience first? And
It's the same process.
it's
It's part of
Yeah,
the
I mean,
process.
why are these mutually exclusive? Like, let's
Yeah.
do these together. That's the most powerful combination is, like we talked about, you don't want to spend 6 months getting this and then have to start lining up your experience. Like, let's do these together.
Because it sounds like even as part of the application, you also have to line up your experience.
You do.
So you're
Yeah.
lining up your experience for the PMP certification and you're also lining up your experience to land a job. Those are not two separate things. So why not go after
Yeah,
both in order
exactly.
to get it all done at the
Yeah.
same time? Be a
Yeah.
project manager in the way you approach this.
Right. We call this fast tracking in project management. Let's throw in some PM jargon in there. Fast track your career. Yes.
Amazing. So, how do you feel, your clients' lives changed in a sense of if you were to think of any one of your clients
Hmm.
and how it made a difference for them to officially have the project manager role and title after
Hmm.
years of them doing the work, not being acknowledged that they're a project manager, not being recognized for it.
Yeah.
Even if you think about yourself, like how does that change someone's life to
Yeah.
get there and finally land that goal with you?
Yeah. And you're getting to why I'm so passionate about this, because landing landing a role like this is truly life changing. It changed my life for sure, and I know it changes my clients' lives for many reasons. First of all, the confidence boost that you get from it, because we can sit here and talk about confidence comes from within all day, and it does, and it's not hurting if somebody else, pats you on the back and gives you the title. That definitely is not going to hurt your confidence. Uh, salary is a huge one because project manager roles, a lot of them, six figures, particularly if you're able to align your experience correctly and show that you're an impactful project manager. That kind of money is life changing. I have had clients be able to buy houses, be able to start families, all sorts of things because they have increased their salary. And the other thing that I would say is just stability. Project management as a career is so stable because it's so recognized across all industries, and
There's no shortage of it, it sounds
there's
like,
no
even with the
shortage of it.
introduction of AI and
Yes.
all of that
Yeah, even with
management.
like AI is just a tool. Project management is not going to take your job. We could do a whole other episode on that. It's just, I lost my train of thought. I'm gonna have to cut this out. So, what are we talking about?
How does it change your life?
Thank you.
How has it changed your life being a project manager, thinking about where you were as a cake decorator to even like entering corporate and to where you are now? Like, how has that changed your life from a financial perspective, from a quality of life perspective? I'm curious.
It changes everything. Nada, it really does. The way for me, I can hear my clients and what they say and how it changed their lives, and I can speak personally about the impact it's had on me. I mean, it's almost made me a different person. I used to be a very negative person. I'm actually a
Wow.
very positive person now. And I think a lot of that has really changed because of how I was able to perceive myself after I went from being a cake decorator to, where I am today as a senior project manager at a global law firm running some of our largest client accounts. And even saying it like that sometimes kind of floors me, and I'm like, oh, like it sounds pretty cool when I put it that way. So the confidence, the salary, the career trajectory, a lot of people come to me and they've hit a ceiling. They've hit a ceiling because their experience is kind of all over the place and they can't find a through line, and there's just nowhere left to go. That was my experience. I had nowhere left to go. I had hit a ceiling. And when I
Yeah.
found project management, that ceiling lifted.
Yeah. And I love that what you're really helping people do is do work that's in their wheelhouse
Mm-hmm.
that people have when they're doing it unofficially and they're not being the title. It's almost like they're not being seen and recognized for what they're bringing to the table.
Oh, for
And
sure.
then
Yeah.
when they land that role finally and they're, you know, even if it just it feels like, even if it's just a label, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's still like recognition,
Yeah.
and it puts you in this official position to have ownership and authority, which
Yeah.
you might not have had before because you had to like feel like you had to constantly negotiate because that wasn't exactly your role and you weren't given that title. So what you're doing really is you're changing people's lives by helping them land this role. You're allowing them to, first of all, increase their pay. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to suspect, if we even look at you from the time that you were not a project manager to a project manager, I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to guess that your salary probably increased by more than $50,000 over the years.
I think when I, let's not even say as a cake decorator, when I started into corporate, I think I have quadrupled my salary.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you can imagine how that changes your lifestyle and the quality of your life and your ability to travel and take care of
Yeah.
yourself and provide for your family.
Yeah.
And then just having that excitement of going to work and making that amazing impact. The way I just saw your face light up when you shared that I get to, oversee some of these projects and work with one of the best law firms and work with these amazing people and teams. and get them to collaborate effectively and get things done so that
Yeah.
the company can be more profitable and thrive and grow.
Yeah, and it's funny because I'm laughing because people ask me about my job and I will unironically say I love my job. And people they roll their eyes and I'm I'm one of those people, but I truly do. I truly do love my job. So it's to me what I'm doing is exactly like you said. It's helping people improve their quality of lives and it's putting them into roles where they can make an impact and enjoy what they do.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, thank you, Kayla, for, this amazing conversation. And I look forward to the next episode.
I do too. We are in the next episode. It's going to be a good one. We are talking about how do you translate your experience into project management experience. We have spent so much time alluding to it. We're actually going to get into how to do it in the next episode. So we will see you there.
And friends, if you are in the same situation and recognize yourself in all of these stories, I really invite you to take advantage of booking a call with Kayla because doing this alone obviously is not working for you. And I truly believe in getting guidance and professional support to get to where you want to be, just like a professional athlete or anyone who's trying to better themselves.
Absolutely. 100%. Michael Jordan wouldn't be who he was without his coaches, right?
Yeah.
All right, Nana, thank you so much. It's great to have you.